Cynthia Schultz. Please start sitting down. We're going to start in about 4 minutes, and it will be with the honor guard, so please take a seat. And is Cynthia Schultz in the audience? Get everybody seated, help me.
What do you want?
I don't know if Cynthia's not coming. No. I'm gonna sit down. Hey. Have you seen Cynthia?
No.
Thing for Cynthia? Hi. How are you? I am good. It's good to see you both. I think I'm going to have to open it. Cynthia's not here.
Open. Hey, Miss Lynn, how are you?
I'm good. Who's doing this?
I am.
Oh, cool. I know that. I'm just you. I haven't met you
No
officially.
worries, that's all right.
It looks like Cynthia is not here, so I'm going to be giving this over to you.
Okay.
So you pass it to the next person?
And we're just going to go along this stretch here. On.
Does Robin need it? Does Robin need it?
I'm waiting on KOB, so I'll be right back up and find theirs. Okay, for the TVs.
Yeah, I feel really tough. All right, folks. Time to get started. Everyone will take a seat and quiet down. We'll get going. Okay, I feel like more people stood up. All right, the doors have shut, and we're gonna get ready for takeoff here. All right, welcome to the State of the City presentation. I'm Cynthia Schultz, the 2017 chair for NAOP. Glad to see a great turnout today. We now need to stand for the Albuquerque Police Department's Honor Guard, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance the
And now we'll have our national anthem sung by Julianne Rivera, music director at Catholic Elementary School.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing until the honor guard leaves the room. Now let me introduce the sponsors that helped make today possible. All right, first up is Bohannon Houston, and Mike Belaskovitz will be introducing his table.
Good morning. That is definitely a tough act to follow. We are honored to be here today. Bohannon Houston be sponsoring this event. We look forward to many more just like it. Today I have at my table with me Jeff Mulberry, principal at Bohannon Houston, Matt Santisteban, also another principal in our group, Dave Perko, Kelly Klein, Erica Newman, Matt Satchez, and Aaron Sussman. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. And now we have Bridgers and Paxton to be introduced by Mike Dexter.
Hi, thank you, Lynn. So I hope everybody got our contribution to a healthy workforce. A box of Band-Aids, give those to your people. They'll show up to work every day. I'd like to introduce the folks at our table. We have Jim Jepson, who is the Administrative Director for Real Estate and Construction for Presbyterian Hospital. Tony Sparks, who is a Project Manager with Albuquerque Public Schools. Lan Clark, the Chief Building Official for the City of Albuquerque. And Al Senna, who is the Director of UNM Physical Plant Department, along with several of my partners, Rich Reef, John Heck, Abba Shirian, Robert Conley, and Eric Conklin. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And now to introduce Clifton Larson Allen's table is David Leaf. He's also NAOP's treasurer.
Thank you, Cynthia. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Clifton Larson Allen is proud to be a sponsor for the mayoral address, State of the City, and I want to congratulate the mayor and his administration for all they've done for the city over the years. We really appreciate it as a city and a business community. So we have some folks joining us here today. We have Dr. Craig White from the interim provost for the Anderson School, UNM. Sarah Marley from our construction and real estate group. Angela Reed Padilla, the CEO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters. How you doing, Angela? Robert Lucera from Lucera Law. I appreciate you being here. Garrett Price, Price Development. Price, thank you so much for being here as well. Fred Arfman, and of course, Doug Chaplin from the city of Albuquerque. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. And now we have Jim Peck, who will be introducing Gemini Rosemont's table.
Thank you. Gemini Rosemont's proud to be a sponsor of today's event. We have some very distinguished guests with us today, and I better get out their names so I don't screw it all up. We have Matt Geisel with New Mexico Economic Development, Deb Inman with AED, from the city of Albuquerque, Autumn Gray and Randy Trask, and from and Manuel Quintana from PNM. From our Gemini Rosemont Albuquerque team, we have Melanie Mota, Melody Ellenberger, Jason Lott, and myself. And thank you.
Thank you. All right, Old Republic title, Lisa Ortega.
Hi, thank you. Old Republic Title is proud to be a NAOP sponsor and especially proud to be sponsoring today's luncheon. I'd like to introduce the guests we have with us today. We have Cole Flanagan with NAI Maestas and Ward, Leah Armstrong with CBRE, Jim Downtis with CBRE, Justine Deshays with Wells Fargo, and Lisa Allen Urea with Sedberry and Associates. We also have at our table our commercial escrow officers, Melissa Henry, Mara Darling, and Carla Walker, and then our commercial sales guru, Bob Hakim.
All right, thank you. All right, Brian Patterson with Titan Development.
Good afternoon. Brian Patterson with Titan Development. We are proud to be a sponsor for the State of the City address. Want to say thank you to the mayor, his staff, for everything that you guys done for the last 8 years. We really do appreciate that. At our table, we have CEO Ben Spencer, our controllers, John Holtz and Yolanda Hernandez. Chief, at our other table, real quick, before I forget, I'll get in trouble. Kurt Browning, sitting with the mayor. Got to say hello to Kurt. General Counsel, Aime Gonzalez and Camila Goulet. Sal Perdomo, Senior Development Associated with us. We have Matt Lammers, Director. And we want to welcome Ian Robertson. He just moved from New York and is our Chief, you're our Marketing Director. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. So in the interest of time, we're not going to be going through all the public officials here today, but they're on the PowerPoint, and we thank them for attending this exciting lunch. One quick announcement. You will see a flyer for the October lunch, and this is Catlett. He's a very well-known great speaker from New Mexico State. Please come and attend that. It should be a really good presentation. And now I would like to introduce Robin Brule, Vice President of Community Relations and Assistant to the President at Nusenda Credit Union and Executive on Loan from Nusenda to Mayor Richard Berry's office. Please help me welcome Robin.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robin Brule, and I'm the Senior Vice President at Nusenda Credit Union and the Chief Strategist of City Alive. And I'm also an executive on loan to Mayor Richard Berry to help with philanthropic initiatives around education, economic development, and workforce development. I've gotten to know Mayor Berry over the past several years, and I've been able to work alongside with him and his departments on several cross-sector partnerships. Together, we have sat across the table to meetings with local immigrant entrepreneurs, listening to their stories, their challenges, their dreams and opportunities, as well as pitching to groups of national CEOs and presidents from some of the largest financial companies in the world about investing in Albuquerque. The mayor has always celebrated and encouraged the diversity of thought and has embraced the hard conversations that we need in our work together. He is willing to tackle complex issues by bringing together stakeholders to have the necessary difficult conversations to start a path towards solutions. He has taken on addressing racial equity and gender pay gaps in Albuquerque and has brought together strategic partners to help create new pathways to economic mobility for low-income individuals and our communities of color. This work has resulted in Albuquerque being one of 5 cities nationally selected as part of Race Equity Here to examine the impact of governmental actions and how they can improve diversity and racial equity in our communities. Through his leadership, the city has moved to data-driven solutions around supporting entrepreneurs to grow jobs in our local economy and to also increase average household incomes. These are long-term necessary solutions to create a healthy and thriving ecosystem that will benefit Albuquerque in the decades to come. From his skills-based hiring work with Talent ABQ to his innovative and nationally recognized panhandling initiative, There's a Better Way, to his leadership with City Alive, the Living Cities Integration Initiative effort, he is working to break down barriers that have held our city back in the past. Many of these innovative initiatives are being recognized not only nationally, but implemented in cities across our country. At this time, I would like to invite 2 individuals to the stage to talk about programs they were a part of and their positive impact on their lives. First, Ms. Kim Trujillo has been personally touched by Mayor Berry's nationally adopted homeless solution, Albuquerque Heading Home. In 2010, Mayor Berry brought together several homeless advocates to study what it took to actually end homelessness. The solution that came from the meetings was simple: end homelessness by giving someone who is chronically homeless and most vulnerable a home. Heading Home was created as a housing-first model that provides participants with wraparound services and support from substance abuse help to employment assistance, to make sure that they have everything they need to be stabilized and put their lives on the right path. Kim, if you can join me. Thanks. Kim will be speaking in just a moment, but I would also like to bring up Erin Wadley Child. Erin, where are you? Erin participated in the Running Start for Careers program, an initiative launched by Mayor Berry during his tenure as a state legislature. This program is focused on industry-taught curriculum and works in close collaboration between high schools, colleges, universities, and employers. Since its inception in 2011, the program has helped more than 1,240 students from across 70 schools. Participants in this program have an on-time graduation rate of 98% in the school district that averages 66%. I am proud to say that Nucinda has been a vital partner to this work, helping to secure funding and generating awareness for the program. In addition, Nucinda developed a financial services career exploration course, which Erin has participated in. To date, over 150 students have completed the Nucinda curriculum. Today, Erin is still employed by Nucinda, and he is also concurrently studying business administration at UNM, where he plans to graduate in December 2020. So Erin, we're going to start with you. Thanks for joining us today. Please come to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I really want to just share with you guys my experiences with the Running Start for Careers program. It all started my freshman year when I gave a goal to myself of getting ahead in college as much as I can while I'm still in high school. Why? I thought it would make my life easier in the long run, and expecting the cost of college, I thought it would save my parents a lot of money. Dual credit classes through CNM allowed me to earn college credits while still in high school. This seemed to have been a dream come true, allowing me to achieve my goal. Now, I knew for the longest time I wanted to get into the financial world, whether it be through business or banking. It's where I wanted my career to start. So, I took CNM classes to advance my business administration degree. While taking these courses, I learned of opportunities that allowed me to get college credits and not be limited to the usual core classes. In the middle of my junior year, I was told about a financial services career exploration class by one of my friends, also enrolled in a dual credit program. I was given the choice to take a dual credit course with a friend about a subject I loved. The decision to me was a no-brainer. I registered the same day I was told about it, not knowing it would have such a large impact on my life. I remember reading about the class and learning it would take place on site at Nucinda Credit Union, and I knew I was going to learn a lot of valuable information. Now, I already had some idea about the importance of personal finance, but my teacher, Mr. Jonathan Schomburg, who's here today, really made it clear and emphasized just how important it was. He took us through the basics of how the economy worked, and then through personal budgeting, and how important it was to maintain a good credit score. I have been using all of these lessons to build a stable financial foundation for myself. Also throughout his class, he mentioned that an internship with Nucinda would be available upon the semester's end. In the final weeks, I remember him preparing the students for future interviews and giving us skills that we could take throughout our lives. At the time, my focus wasn't really on the distant future. It was utilizing the skills necessary to apply for this internship successfully. We started working on our resumes, and I was set on refining mine as much as possible and getting as much feedback as I could, whether it was from Mr. Schomburg, my teachers at school, my parents, grandparents, and everyone I can think of, so I can craft a resume that would maximize my chances to get this internship. Finally, I got to the interview, and I did my best. From there, I waited, and a little trait about me, I stress about everything, which made the waiting and wondering absolutely nerve-wracking. It wasn't until school was out and I was in LA on vacation, the day before going to Disneyland, that I got a call saying I got the internship. Now, this may sound cheesy, but I honestly didn't know what I was more excited for. Disneyland, or the chance to work in a field I've always been in love with. I got placed in the commercial lending department, business services, with one of the most wonderful group of people I've ever met. Through my internship, from everyone at business services and at Nusenda, I learned many important and valuable skills that will go with me as I continue my journey through the working world, that only begun thanks to this Running Start for Careers program and Nusenda Credit Union. I've learned teamwork, communication, responsibility, project management, and of course, I've learned about commercial lending. Today, I'm constantly given opportunities that allow me to expand my knowledge of this line of work. Currently, I'm going to UNM, continuing to study business administration, which thanks to all the dual credit classes, including the Financial Services Career Exploration class at Nusenda, I'm able to say I'm starting UNM as a second semester sophomore. Oh. Also, I'm excited to say I'm still employed at Nusenda in the Business Services Department as their favorite and only part-time employee. I couldn't be more fortunate and thankful for where I am today, and I couldn't be more thankful to the Running Start for Career program at Nusenda Credit Union for making this all possible. Additionally, I would like to thank my parents and grandparents who are here today for supporting me and in achieving all my goals, regardless of how big or small they might seem. Finally, Finally, I would like to thank Mayor Barry for allowing me the honor of speaking in his final State of the City address. Thank you all very much.
Your parents are here?
Yes.
Do they stand? Thank you. I'm very proud. Thank you, Erin.
Can I go sit down?
Yes, you can go sit down now. And many of you may not know, but Running Start for Careers has been recognized nationally over the past several years with a Harvard Ash Innovation Award in Government, as well as UNM Conference of Mayors Education Award. So thank you, Mayor Barry, for your leadership on that program. Now we would like to hear from Kim Trujillo from Albuquerque heading home.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kim Trujillo, and my son was homeless. I used to be a reporter and anchor at Channel 13 many years ago. I left news to start a family. When my son Miguel was born 22 years ago, I had high hopes for him. His intelligence was off the charts. My dream was for him to attend Harvard. He was tested for autism but was diagnosed with ADHD. Over the years, he became schizophrenic, paranoid, and a meth user. At 14 years of age, he ran away from home for 9 months. I started a nationwide search. My family and I went through hell, wondering if he was dead or alive. He'd been in Arizona and Colorado. When he returned, he spent most of his adolescence in detention, but he was smart enough and determined enough to get his GED, and he even completed a year at CNM. Since then, he's been on the streets, in and out of detention, kicked out of apartments, motels, group homes, you name it. Because he's gotten violent and aggressive with me and my daughter, bringing him home was never an option. You may recognize me from an Ancestry commercial that's aired 10,000 times nationally over the last 2 years. The night I was taping that commercial in LA, my son was breaking into my house to steal jewelry. He was arrested, and heartbreaking as it was, I felt relieved that he was being fed and cared for in jail. Early this year, I heard about Albuquerque heading home. A friend told me it offered help with housing and many other services. My parents, who've supported us through all of this, helped me find Miguel and take him to heading home. He was sleeping on a couch next to a dumpster, next to a 7-Eleven in an alley. We saw him panhandling. He was also staying on the roof of local businesses through the worst of weather. That fateful day, we took Miguel to meet Jody at Albuquerque heading home. She gave us the hope we'd always prayed for with the dignity he so desperately needed. She spoke his language and told him she had a voucher to stay in a nice, warm, clean hotel. She sought to understand him and his situation and knew there was a smart, sweet soul under that hard exterior that he had developed to survive the harsh streets over the years. She put us in touch with Albuquerque Health Care for the Homeless to address his mental health care needs. He was diagnosed and quickly put on medication. This was the beginning of his new life and renewed hope for his entire family. Jody also put us in touch with Therapeutic Living Services, and our next angel appeared as his social worker, Rachel. She found him an apartment in a nice part of town, takes him to appointments, and makes sure he is getting the services that he needs. Knowing that Miguel has a roof over his head, regular medication, and access to many services has made our lives much more livable. We can sleep at night knowing he is safe. Our minds are set at ease knowing his mind is not in survival mode and he is not getting assaulted as he has many times. He may not be at Harvard, but he is home. He feels healthy enough and safe enough to look past his illness to make plans for the future, and he's applying for jobs and opportunities to volunteer. Our struggle isn't over, but the collaborative effort of Albuquerque Heading Home, Therapeutic Living Services, and Supportive Housing Coalition have made a huge difference in one man's life, not to mention his family and community. It really does take a village to raise a child. When you see someone that's homeless, remember they are someone's child. And very often they are mentally ill and unable to help themselves. They just need a helping hand to get the many services that this city has to offer. Thank you to all who have worked to provide these services. You are giving people a new lease on life. You are improving our whole village. Thank you, Mayor Barry, for caring about this issue and for taking initiatives to solve the homeless problem. Thank you.
Wow, thank you to Kim and Aaron for being with us today, for sharing your inspirational stories. These are examples of the real progress being made on complex, challenging issues like homelessness, mental health, and graduating our young people with the skills they need to succeed in college or in a job they love right here in Albuquerque. We're here today for Mayor Richard Berry's final State of the City address. And this is where it gets uncomfortable for you because I'm going to talk about you. As mayor, he hasn't chose to kick tough problems down the road for somebody else to solve. You just heard two examples of that. He continually chooses to innovate and search for new approaches to long-standing challenges and complex issues. No one can say that his administration hasn't been afraid to try new ideas. I've personally witnessed the mayor relentlessly engaged in the private sector, the nonprofit world, and our major institutions, bringing them alongside and together to figure out how government can help work with others to own tomorrow's solutions for today's challenges. And for those of us who know the mayor, he's a practical person who stretched our tax dollars as far as they could be stretched through difficult times, reduced the size of government, made government work better and more efficiently, and never once raised our taxes. He is a compassionate person, as evidenced by the stories we heard. He's used sound fiscal principles to develop new ways that are more effective at giving people in need a better opportunity to succeed while lowering government costs. It was no surprise to us that the mayor was reelected 4 years ago with 70% of the vote in Albuquerque. He's been a steady, strong, effective leader who clearly loves our community and the people who live here. The transformative projects he has brought to Albuquerque will improve our city. Initiatives Mayor Berry has been willing to take on despite the impact to his political capital and popularity in the process. In a moment, I'm going to ask our First Lady to come up to the stage to introduce the mayor. We've appreciated your grace and strength. Maria, you've always shown it. You've always been by Mayor's side. Your efforts to raise money for local charities and the critical support you undoubtedly provide over and over and over the past 8 years. We know that you are completely dedicated to seeing better results for our city. We are so thankful and grateful for the two of you that you stepped away from a highly successful company and stepped up to serve our city. Anyone who knows the mayor knows that if he's not moving at 100 miles per hour, he might as well not be moving at all. The energy and focus that he's brought to the job is apparent, and I imagine the two of you have spent countless midnights together working through issues. I know because I've been a recipient of those 3 p.m. texts. From start to finish, you have both carried yourselves with a sense of decency, humility, and ethical conduct that every resident of Albuquerque, whether they voted for you or not, can be proud of. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce Albuquerque's First Lady, Maria Berry.
Can you see me? I guess I have to use the stool. Good afternoon. Thank you, Robin, for your kind words. And as I look at all of you and see so many familiar faces, I'm overcome with gratitude for how each of you support our community and how you've supported my husband and me over the past 8 years. Thank you for the encouragement you've given Rich and for all the times you partnered with him to improve our city. It has been a special honor to serve as your First Lady. Rich and I have always loved Albuquerque. We raised our family here. We built and ran a successful business here. We've always known that this is an extraordinary and unique place, but the experience of being mayor and First Lady has only magnified our love for this community. I want to extend a special thank you to all those who supported our charity gala each year during Rich's time as mayor. With your help and generosity, we were able to contribute over $1.5 million to local charities. Give yourselves a hand. Together, we've supported 35 nonprofit partners doing important work in our community, including ARCA, the Albuquerque Community Foundation Bright Futures Fund, a fund that we will be able to continue giving forever, United Way of Central New Mexico, the New Mexico chapter of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Fathers Building Futures, Crossroads for Women, and so many other great organizations. With your help, we've impacted over 100,000 lives, including helping the unemployed find a pathway to work, helping those persevering through mental health challenges or disabilities, and helping those who have previously been incarcerated turn their lives around and stay on a positive course. The generosity of so many who are in this room and countless people and companies who aren't will not be forgotten by those whose lives have been changed by your decision to give. Today you will hear the mayor's, my husband's, final State of the City address. You'll hear the story of our community over the past 8 years, about how our city has improved, grown, changed, and confronted challenges. I've been blessed and honored to have a front row seat for it all. Rich and I have cherished the high points, and there have been many, and we pushed through the challenging times. Of course, government service is a family affair. Life changes in ways large and small, and in ways that bring both excitement and additional challenges. Our son Jacob was in middle school when Rich was first elected. He couldn't be here today because he is away at college in his junior year. Life certainly changed for him, but he handled it with class. And we've been fortunate to have our parents and family by our side the entire time. And I'd ask that they please stand up. My parents are here, and Mayor's parents, and my sister and brother-in-law, if they could please stand up and be recognized. Again, thank you for the support you have given to us over the years. God has blessed us with an incredible opportunity to serve in our community, and we have given it our all. And finally, I want to thank you, my husband. Your leadership, compassion, and strength, integrity have made me proud to be your wife. I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, to deliver the State of the City address, please welcome my husband and Albuquerque's Mayor, Richard Berry.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. What a great city we have. I want to thank everybody for coming out today to hear my final State of the City address. And for all those people that are watching on cabq.gov, thank you as well. Maria, thank you so much for the introduction. I think we can all agree I married way up. I'm blessed to be your husband, to walk by your side through our life, to build a business, raise our son. You've been my best friend and a great partner, so thank you. And I love you. Maria's right, it is a family affair. And although the elected officials in this room, they'll all tell you that our family members' names aren't on the ballot, but every day they serve right alongside of us. And my family's no different. From my time as a state representative and now as a mayor, my family's been there for me. And once again, thank you to my son Jacob, who couldn't be here today. He's at Texas A&M in the Corps of Cadets. He's making his mom and dad very proud. And to our parents, thank you for being our foundation and our inspiration. God bless you. So the last State of the City has to be different than the first 7. Normally what I would do is I'd spend a little time talking about what we did last year and then trying to cast a vision for next year. But with just 2 months in office, what I'd like to do today is spend some time saying thank you to all the people who have helped us make progress in the city of Albuquerque. I want to highlight our collective successes. I want to share some stories and maybe talk about some lessons learned. There's some tough things to talk about, and there's some positive things to talk about. I'm going to tell you about several things we're also going to do to try to help our city and our next mayor succeed. Because, you know, no successful program, no initiative can happen without teamwork, and no elected official from the president on down succeeds on their own. For any city, success comes through the work of a great team, great civic leaders, great business leaders like yourselves, great constituents who actually allow the elected official to innovate and try new things and to push against the status quo. One thing I've learned as mayor is that there are challenges the day you walk in the door, and there's going to be challenges the day you walk out the door. We've worked hard during my administration to leave more things better than we found them. And with the help of this community, we can definitely say that we have, and that together we can overcome current challenges that we face. And that's why, without reservation, I can stand before you today and I can tell you the state of our city is strong. Not because of a single data point or one metric, but because after 8 years as your mayor, I now have 600,000 brothers and sisters. And they're up for any challenge that comes our way. We love our place and we love our people. We love each other. We lift each other up when we fall, and we celebrate our successes together. And those, my friends, are the pillars of a strong community. In addition, we have a growing economy, an improved infrastructure, new quality of life projects and attractions, and a fiscally sound city government. A government that's more efficient and more responsive than ever before. Yes, we do face current challenges, particularly with rising crime, and I'm going to talk about that today quite a bit. But we're putting in place plans and partnerships to overcome that as well. So I stand here proud of what we've accomplished together and hopeful that for the first time, we will have a positive transition in the mayor's office, at least the first time in a long time. And our new mayor, with your support, will build on the progress that we have made together and further improve the city that we love. Let's start off by talking a little bit about the state of Albuquerque's economy, which is growing, it is diversifying, generating higher wages, more job opportunities than 8 years ago. You see, in the 2 years before I took office, if you look at the screen, you'll see Albuquerque lost 23,000 jobs. We lost another 6,700 jobs during my first 2 years in office. However, since late 2012, Albuquerque has seen 46 straight months of job growth, and our community has added over 25,000 jobs since then. There's only been 2 times in the past 27 years that we've added that many jobs that quickly. Once was in the early 90s, and if you remember, we had a lot of investment in our community, and the last time was in 2004 to 2007 during the housing boom. So right now, we are just about 1.3% away from peak employment that we had during that housing boom in 2007, and we've done it without a housing boom. Our unemployment rate has dropped about 30% in the last 8 years. Median incomes are up and poverty is down. Consumer confidence has increased, and that has led to more local spending. We've enjoyed 7 consecutive years of GRT growth, even after the state began taking millions of dollars worth of revenue away through the phase out of the hold harmless funding that was put in place years ago. We've seen a 75% increase in construction gross receipts collections over the past 3 years, thanks to many of you in this room. And over the last year, Albuquerque has been growing faster than a number of our peer cities, including Tucson and Oklahoma City. If you take a look at this chart, you'll see that most major employment sectors have grown significantly, with healthcare and construction leading the way. It's interesting to note that these job gains also come at a time where over that same period of time, you'll see we've actually lost federal government jobs. That's a sector that we've always relied on for growth. So we're growing without some of the things that helped us grow before, which speaks to the diversification of our economy. And because people from all over the world want to come and visit Albuquerque, our lodgers tax collections are up as well. In fact, we're now collecting more lodgers tax from tourism than we did any time since the tax was implemented in the 1960s. I want to thank Visit Albuquerque and our tourism industry and all the hoteliers and everybody that are creating these great attractions for doing that. I also want to thank our aviation department, Jim Hind, and all his team at the Sunport for bringing in all the new airlines that we have to Albuquerque. We've recently added JetBlue, Alaska Air, Allegiant, Frontier, and we have new direct flights to New York City, Silicon Valley, and other destinations. That all helps our local economy. And all this data reflects important progress in our economy, and there's no question that our next mayor is going to inherit an economy that's on the rise. The elevator's going up, and I'm happy about that. It did not happen by accident. We've taken a decidedly different and intentional approach to growing our economy. Yes, we've attracted great new companies like Canon, Rural Sourcing Inc., Lowe's, General Atomics, but our community has also earned additional job growth opportunities with great companies like Fidelity, who's adding hundreds of jobs in Albuquerque. We've also put in place extensive support systems for entrepreneurs and innovators, those who are developing companies from the ground up. Scorpios Technologies, RiskSense, RS21, Lavu, these are some of the best startups in the country. And in the past 8 years, we've added 6 business accelerators to help these startup companies on top of the great people that have been doing that here for years. Innovate ABQ has gone from a vision to a reality, and UNM, thank you, Chowkey, just cut the ribbon on a $35 million rainforest building that's bringing hundreds of students downtown to rub elbows with startups, scientists, engineers, venture capitalists, and innovators. And tomorrow at 4 p.m., we'll cut the ribbon on the new C&M Fuse Makerspace at Innovate as well. This was paid for by generous donations from Amera, the New Mexico Gas Company, the McCune Foundation, and of course, one of the foundations of our community, C&M, Kathy and her group. Albuquerque's downtown is fast becoming the home to a vibrant entrepreneurial and arts community. If you went to Somos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I believe that the key to the future of our economy and future opportunities for our kids and our grandkids are that entrepreneurial and arts community. I'd like to thank the many partners who actually said yes and have taken the risks and set the foundations for an improved, stronger, and growing economy. A special thanks to everybody here at NAIOP. My first major speech as a mayor was right here on this stage. AED, the Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce, the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, great partners. Thank you also to the individuals and companies who are leading the charge in making significant personal investments to develop a more diversified economy and opportunities. I saw Terry Laudick early in Nusenda. Terry, thanks for the partnerships, my friend. Bob Frank, Chowkey Abdallah, everybody at UNM, Kathy Winograd, and everyone at C&M, everybody involved with ABQ, Innovate ABQ, especially the early adopters. A couple of those early press conferences, there's only a couple of us standing out there, and I want to thank everybody for doing that. And all the great foundations and the nonprofits. You know, we've had great influx of investments from the Albuquerque Community Foundation, the United Way of Central New Mexico, Bloomberg Philanthropies, the Kauffman Foundation, Kellogg Foundation, McCune Foundation, Talent ABQ. These are people that believe that we're worth investing in. And Robin, thank you so much. Where'd Robin go? Thank you for being a great partner and leading the way with 180 community stakeholders committing to creating 10,000 new jobs through City Alive in Albuquerque by 2025. And I also want to thank our great economic development team. John Garcia was here earlier. I saw him. Thank you, John. Now Gary Opedal and his whole team, Deirdre and everybody, for really working hard to build this vibrant ecosystem. But at the end of the day, folks, it's you. It's people in this room that risk your capital, you take the chances, you start companies, you build things, you build our city, and it's you that have created those jobs. So if you would, please give yourself a nice round of applause. One of my primary goals when I was elected, if you remember, I said I would rather run City Hall more like a business and less like a political machine, and to bring sound fiscal stewardship to the forefront. If you remember back 8 years ago, we started off the first couple months with about a $90 million deficit. On top of that, we were entering some of the worst years of the Great Recession, and it was time to make tough decisions, cut spending, and realign our priorities, and our city councilors were right there with us. Thanks for the tough decisions and the partnerships. It was time to identify government inefficiencies and waste and bring fiscal responsibility back to the forefront. So I'm happy today to report that through what we call ESA, which is our efficiency, stewardship, and accountability measures, our city employees have saved you, the taxpayer, almost $34 million over the last 8 years. And a lot of those savings are actually recurring year over year, so you'll be able to continue the benefit of that. We took a city government that had grown beyond its means, and we got spending under control. And we've now kept the growth of city government right at the rate of inflation during the last 8 years, which I personally believe is the hallmark of fiscal responsibility. And for the first time, if you can believe it, in 12 years, the city of Albuquerque submitted our financial audit on time to the state. And that was a heavy, heavy lift. All my accounting people are here, so thank you for that. We increased the productivity of our workforce because we invested and we believed in them. And we've dramatically improved our use of technology, and we've overhauled these archaic systems to improve the way that you, our customers, interact with us. We've launched over 30 apps, dashboards, and transparency measures to make it easier for the public to interact with its government and for us to provide services back to you. And that's why we're nationally recognized for transparency improvements and rankings. As proof of the advances, the city of Albuquerque was just ranked #1 in the United States for all cities this last year for resident involvement by Governing Magazine and Living Cities. So there's no question that the city government is leaner, more efficient, and more productive. And we're more responsible with your tax dollars, I believe, than ever before. Our next mayor will also inherit a city government that now ranks 6th nationally for its use of technology. We just passed San Francisco. And I want to recognize Peter Ames and all of our IT people who are here today, who have quite literally brought the city government into the 21st century. I know Peter's here. Thank you, Peter. So all the fiscal discipline, the increased savings, the improved efficiencies have created more opportunities to invest, and we have done that in the things that matter to us most. In the last 8 years, we've been able to give salary raises for most of our city, all of our city employees actually, but most of all, we've given a 21% raise to our police officers, and they deserve it. And we're now budgeting We're now putting $22 million more per year into APD than we did 8 years ago. We've built 2 new fire stations, and we've done major renovations on 15 others. We've replaced just about 75% of our city's fire emergency apparatus. In fact, our fire department has now earned the top rating for fire departments in the United States. Very, very few have it. It's called ISO 1. Our budgets have been balanced and responsible, thanks. Our budgets have been balanced and responsible in great part to the folks I said earlier, Lou Hoffman, Jerry Romero, Olivia Padilla-Jackson, the whole team at Budget and Finance. They're just awesome. And we've had some tough conversations over the years, and sometimes they had to slow the mayor down just a little bit and make sure we could pay for what we're doing. But you guys are awesome, and I appreciate you. As a mayor and a taxpayer, I want to thank everybody at the city of Albuquerque that's done such great work, because it's a team sport. We have almost 6,000 employees at the city of Albuquerque, and after 8 years, I can guarantee you, they all get up in the morning, they try to come to work and make our place even better. They always joke, we have a joke amongst mayors, you can be a visionary right after you get done picking up the trash. And so our solid waste department, none have gone farther than they have. We're teaching entrepreneurship now in the city of Albuquerque, and we've invested over $60 million in new trash trucks, so you don't see those old wobbly, broke down trucks all over the streets. So thanks for making those investments. The basic services provided by our city are some of the best in the country, and that's a testament to our employees. And to all of our employees, I want to say thank you. Thank you for letting me work side by side with you to make our city a better place. I've come to know 100 mayors or so. Thank you. I know lots and lots of mayors, hundreds actually, by name around the country, and no one's been blessed with a better team than me. I want to take just a couple of minutes, please, and thank my directors. 19 of them are here today. They make sure the airplanes land, that the grass is mowed, that the libraries are open, and that those great services that you expect are there for you every day. Directors, thank you for your passion and your dedication to the city. I'd also like to recognize my executive staff. Rob, sitting right out here, Mr. Rob Perry. Made some heavy lifts together, brother. And we've shared some good laughs as well. I've asked Rob to run a tight ship, and you've done that. He's well respected, and he's the kind of top professional that you absolutely have to have if you're going to change and make government better. Rob, I'm proud to call you a colleague and a friend. And all these projects that you see on your tables today, they don't happen by accident. They're a direct result of great work. And a lot of that work's been done by my Chief of Staff, Gilbert Montano, and my COO, Mike Reardon. Every plan takes persistence and hard work, and they've been there for me, and they've been there for you as a city. And I want to thank especially the young professionals we've brought into city government. We've really tried hard to groom that next generation of leaders, including my communications director, Rhiannon Samuel, and my deputy chief of staff, Corey Cooper, Alan Armijo, Roger Newell, everybody at our veterans liaison staff and our constituent services. That's the complaint department, and they've done that with grace and honor as well. And they've helped hire over 300 veterans at the city over the past few years. So as I say this, I say it with gratitude, but other people take notice as well. These leaders and all these 6,000 employees that I talked about have led the city of Albuquerque to be recognized for the second year in a row as one of the 3 top best run large cities in the United States. That's better than Los Angeles. That's better than LA, Chicago, New York, keep going down the list. And you know what? I call that good government. And guess what we did? Where's that picture? This is a picture we took the other day, and if you'll notice, people are wearing their school colors. We got those top rankings with a whole bunch of Lobos, a whole bunch of New Mexico State Aggies, Eastern New Mexico Greyhounds, and C&M Suncats. So I'll tell you what, our colleges here are doing a great job of putting out professionals. Once again, Chowkey, all the colleges here, thank you so much for that. Please give my entire team a round of applause. I want to spend some time today talking about crime. I want to tell you how I think we got here and how we're going to get out of where we are today. Albuquerque, like other cities, is not immune to serious challenges. When I took over, the economy was the worst we'd seen in decades, and now is very much on the upswing and almost back to peak employment. But after the lowest crime rates in history during my first term as your mayor, crime is currently rising. It's our biggest challenge right now, but the good news is we are researching the problem, and we have plans in place and partners to address it. I want to walk you through some of the dynamics of the crime situation in Albuquerque. So if you look at this chart, between 2010 and 2013, Albuquerque literally experienced the 4 lowest crime rates in our city's history. And in 2014, our city had the lowest number of homicides on record as well. Then, starting in 2014 and in the subsequent years, crime across the board began to rise significantly. The spike is noticeable, and it needs to be addressed. This crime spike, in my personal opinion, and in the opinion of the people that we're studying it with on my team, has been brought about in large part by significant successive disruptions in our criminal justice system. This in turn has led to a 60% reduction in our county jail population. And I'm not just going to rail against that today, I'm going to tell you things that I think we can do to make that better. When I took office in 2009, there were over 3,000 people being detained in our county jail. Over the past several years, that number has decreased by nearly 2,000 inmates. If you're surprised to hear that, join the club. Most people are. I'm going to show you a chart in just a moment that highlights the impact of such a dramatic drop in the jail population. But when you let 2,000 people out before adequate systems are in place to treat drug addictions and mental health issues and break that cycle of crime, we should not be surprised that crime is on the uprise. Let's start addressing these disruptions in the criminal justice system. That's how things will get better. First, we have to recognize that our county jail was overcrowded and the population needed to be reduced. No problem with that. There were real concerns about people languishing in jail waiting for a fair trial, and as a result, the New Mexico Supreme Court imposed a case management order on just one judicial district in our state, and that's ours. These new rules set shorter time frames for processing criminal cases, even complex ones, and criminal cases have been dismissed left and right ever since. When our new DA, Raul Torres, walked in the office, he found 7,800 unindicted criminal cases to greet him. Some of them were the most serious repeat offenders in our city. In fact, for a pool of the most serious repeat offenders, only 15% of their felony arrests over the past 3 years resulted in convictions. So we're working closely with our new DA, and I have great confidence that our prosecution of criminal cases in Albuquerque, even after I'm the mayor, will improve. The overall conviction rate will increase, and our serious repeat offenders will once again face the consequences that we expect them to face. As a result, by focusing more diligently on those who are repeating crimes, we will be able to lower our crime rate in Albuquerque. In addition to the case management order, the courts are dealing with new rules that restrict the use of bail and favor releasing defendants from jail prior to trial. Another good idea on the surface. Many repeat offenders, for example, who used to be held on bail, however, can no longer be held that way because of the new rules. The justice system has also implemented a new formula to try to gauge the risk of those posing a threat to our community, and unfortunately, that new rule only takes into account convictions and not arrests. As a result, for serious criminals who've been repeatedly arrested by APD and the sheriff and others, but only convicted once or never, their score is low, and they get out of jail. In addition, the new formula doesn't place a great deal of weight on the nature of the crime for someone's arrested for. And many repeat offenders and serious offenders are being released back in our community, and folks, they're stealing your cars, they're breaking into your homes and your businesses. We've all watched it, story after story about repeat offenders on our local news, and at some point we need to recognize that we have to work on this and change it. Of course, I know that like many cities around the country, our police force, the force that I run, is short on officers. We need more officers. But frankly, when APD officers are arresting the same person over and over and over again, that's not a policing problem. That's a problem with the system as a whole. The good news is that Chief Eden and his team are here, and that through the hard work and their savvy recruitment campaigns, we are adding more cadets now, and the cadet classes are larger than we've seen in over a decade. We're going to leave the mayor with an increasing population of APD officers on the road to where they want to get to go. But let me share with you a slide that shows that stark consequences of dramatically decreasing the jail population, in particular without adequate resources to help people break the cycle of crime in their lives. So the jail population here is shown in green, and the auto theft is shown in blue. So that's my first term as your mayor. You can see that we dropped the population of the jail maybe 15% or so, and auto thefts were still at those 4-year lows. Now watch what happens as that jail population decreases over the next 4 years. Now watch what happens with robbery. Robbery is a violent offense. Once again, those first 4 years of my term, the jail population's in green, robberies are in red. Now watch what happens as we depopulate the jail. So I'm going to venture to guess that some of you haven't seen these charts before. And the fact is that we should not be surprised that crime has spiked after 2,000 less inmates are in jail, rigid new requirements for case processing, and new rules and practices have essentially done away with bond and favored the release of most defendants, even the serious ones. And this is not just my opinion. Our new DA, Raul Torres, put out a report recently, and he says in his report, quote, "While district court docket numbers have indeed dropped under the case management order, and the population of the Metropolitan Detention Center has decreased, these reductions have come at the expense of justice and public safety." And it's interesting because this is a real national debate. Sometimes we try to localize things. I want to show you a little film clip of a news story from California, and then I'm going to talk about how I think we can get some solutions here. Take a look.
Back here at home, prison reform is a hot topic in more than a dozen states. But a massive release of prisoners is being blamed for a major spike in crime in California. Correspondent William Lajeunesse shows us from Los Angeles.
Enough is enough. You're passing these propositions, you're creating these laws that is raising crime.
Like a dozen other states, California is trying what it calls prison reform.
This is Governor Jerry Brown. Vote for Proposition 57. It saves money and reduces crime.
Last year, Governor Brown sold voters on Prop 57, which mandated the early release of supposed nonviolent offenders. Critics have heard it before.
The most recent statistics from the U.S. Department of Justice show that violent crime rates in some California cities has increased by over 50%.
Prosecutors say recent measures to reduce the prison population by releasing nonviolent offenders early and making some felonies misdemeanors have backfired.
It's not good for our communities and it's not good for our officers.
The chief blamed one of these reform laws, AB 109, for the death of Officer Keith Boyer. Now, in the past, his killer would have been returned to prison after violating parole 4 times. Instead, he received just 10 days in jail before the murder.
10 days in jail, which to a hardened felon is a slap on the wrist and has no effect.
The link between incarceration and crime is not nearly as strong as many people believe it is.
Advocates say reform works when states invest in programs like drug treatment and job placement.
New York and New Jersey have reduced their prison populations 25% in the last decade, and they've seen crime rates decline.
California hoped to duplicate that 3 years ago by passing Prop 47. It reduced some 40,000 felony convictions a year to misdemeanors and saved $100 million.
If it's not AB 109, if it's not Prop 47, why are the violent crime rates going up? Because they are.
In one case, police arrested a suspect here 13 times in 3 months for theft. But under the law, each time he received just a ticket, suggesting prison reform may keep people out of jail, but not out of trouble.
So what you learn as a mayor after a while is that everybody's front page is kind of the same. We could have seen that story on our local news or in our paper any time over the last couple of years. And what I want you to pay particular attention to, and I didn't show you that, by the way, just to rail against trying to do better. I am for reducing our population as well. But if you watch that video, the person I think was most interesting was the advocate for jail reduction. And he told you that New York and New Jersey have reduced their prison populations without reducing their crime. If If you take a look at the research, New York dropped their prison population by 25% over a period of 10 years. New Jersey's recently been touted as reducing their prison population by 15%. The Bernalillo County Jail has dropped their population by 60% in half the time. So the question isn't whether it's a worthy goal. The question is, why would you be surprised if crime's going up if the systems aren't in place? Look, nobody, myself included, is saying that we need to put 2,000 people back in jail. Jail reduction is laudable, and jail reduction is achievable. But I think most reasonable people would agree that what's happening at our jail here, that reduction has gone too far, too fast. And there are likely hundreds of people out doing harm in our community who should not have that opportunity. Right now there's less than 1,200, I think, is the latest number I got, inmates in jail. That means that the jail could hold up to 700 more folks if we needed to. And even with more police officers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm concerned that if we don't get some of these system disruptions taken care of, those additional officers aren't going to drive crime back to where we need it to be. We need significant adjustments in these reform efforts. We need to make sure they're evaluated and brought into a line with what works for everybody, you and me, not just the criminals and their lawyers. But I believe we can. I believe we have the partners to fight our way back, and I'm confident that we will. And it's not just about getting in a room and butting heads. We need to be smart about what we're doing. But please understand, the city doesn't control the jail or the judicial system. And we haven't stood idly by during this crime spike. We've been fighting as hard as we can. We've crafted police and prosecution initiatives to hold people accountable for committing crimes. And we've been working extremely well with our new DA to use data to improve how we differentiate offenders, making it easier to hold serious criminals accountable. Thanks to a large grant from Bloomberg Philanthropies, I was able to create Albuquerque's first I-Team. The I stands for innovation. Scott Darnell is my leader of our I-Team, and we're taking a citywide analysis of crime concentration. We're looking at it crime by crime, block by block. And in part, our research shows that there are basically 5 areas of our city consisting of less than 5% of our landmass that account for a disproportionate amount of violent crime incidents. These are areas that a lot of people who are arrested live as well. So you might say, well, gosh, I don't live in those 5 areas. Why should I worry? This next map says why. Because when these criminals go to work, they steal cars or break into homes in all of our neighborhoods across the city. So soon the I-Team will be releasing their first round of data on arrestee populations as a help to guide public policy decisions. And specifically, it will combat crime by allowing us to look at crime cycles and repeat offenders. The data will better equip our justice system to identify these high-risk individuals that we really want to identify, while identifying low-risk offenders who, frankly, don't need to be in jail, but they need drug intervention. So if we can break that cycle of addiction, for example, many addicts will no longer have to steal to support their drug habit. I want to say thank you to the county for the work that they're doing on mental health, and I want to say thank you for the work that they're doing on drug rehabilitation as well. And that's as worthy of a goal as locking more people up. We're also getting started on a great project to literally relight our city and brighten our city. So there's policies, there's procedures, and there's the built environment. I want you to take a quick look at this video. This is a project we've been working on for several years to make our city lighter and brighter, because you know crime does not like a stage. And to help deter crime and protect the public, better lighting is better, more lighting is better. Watch the video real quick.
As a mom, it was comforting to see dark streets turned into well-lit places where my kids could walk safely.
I'm a big believer that the more you do to encourage people to get out and walk around in their neighborhoods, the safer things are going to be. I'm also concerned about light pollution. I'd like to be able to see the stars, and I think that there's a lot we can do to light intelligently.
As a business owner, I'm excited for the prospect of having tourists and residents be out more at night. I'm hoping that this project is going to make Albuquerque safer, smarter, and, more beautiful.
Worked on that project. We're going to start this in the weeks before I leave office, and I look forward to our next mayor getting to go out there and finish this over the next 12 months or so. We have 32,000 streetlights in Albuquerque. 20,000 of them are run by the city. We're working with P&M on theirs as well, working on a negotiation for that. But this project will pay for itself. It'll pay for itself in energy savings. In fact, there's enough additional savings to where we can put more lighting in some of the high crime areas, including along Central Avenue. But on top of relighting our city, in addition to those upgrades, I want to invite everybody here to please sign up for the SCAN network. SCAN stands for Security Camera Analytical Network. When there's a crime committed, investigators and prosecutors go out and spend hours and hours and hours looking for evidence, and much of that is on video, and much of that comes from businesses and homes. So we set this program up for you to be able to go on and register your cameras so that that detective does not have to spend hours tracking you down. They know where you are, they know that you may have some evidence, and they can contact you. That saves valuable time to do other things in the investigation process. It also helps us expand the pool of evidence. Currently, some of you even in this room, there are almost 100 businesses that have also taken advantage of tying your security cameras in your business straight into the real-time crime center so that if there's a crime in your business or in your area, the real-time crime center can download that remotely. So please, everybody go. There's an address on the screen here. If you'd write that down, if we can get our entire community to sign up for these, it's going to help us a lot. They've done it in San Francisco, and it really works. Also, our I-team along the Real-Time Crime Center have been working on two really important initiatives along with Raul Torres and our DA's office to effectively differentiate between offenders so they can give the most serious offenders the attention that they deserve. It's called ALERT, and that stands for Analysis-Led Recidivism Team. The purpose is to identify the serious offenders, to track them through the justice system, to apprehend them when necessary, and aggressively prosecute them from start to finish. We now have 5 partners. We've got the FBI, we've got the sheriff, we've got the state police, we've got the state corrections department working alongside APD. And in just the first few months, using ALERT to differentiate these career criminals, 40 ALERT offenders have been arrested, and though judges have sometimes refused to detain them, sometimes we're getting more detentions prior to trial. And in the past few weeks, we've seen 12 of these ALERT offenders get sentenced to prison time so they won't be able to commit crimes in our city. We're also helping the DA's office put together a CSU, or a crime strategies unit. These have been used, and we saw the one in San Francisco. They use them in New York to find the most serious criminals and build cases around nodes and networks of crime. The CSUs combine crime analysts, investigators, and prosecutors in the same office to access an array of high-tech tools that help them more easily connect these criminal nodes, and here's why it matters. We talked about the jail population. We talked about letting offenders out that were high risk and low risk. By performing a social network analysis for different offenders, we can determine better which arrestees are tied to networks of other criminals and which arrestees may be solo operators who steal to feed a drug habit. And it makes it possible to put more effort into ensuring that the professional criminals receive prosecution while the substance abusers in our community can get directed to the treatments that we have. I really do want to thank Raul Torres. He's been a great new partner, his entire team. We're meeting regularly, sometimes daily, between APD and the new DA. Let me advocate also for our state legislators. I know Larry's here and a few others. Our DA is underfunded. We have 13 DAs in New Mexico. I remember from my time in the legislature, half of the cases in New Mexico are in one DA's district, and that's here. If we're going to do some of these things, they do need some additional resources, and I'd like to advocate for that as well. So let's talk about our officer numbers a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, we are on course to increase the number of officers at APD, and that's good news. A couple of years ago, we studied it based on workload, not population. It was determined that the workload at the time, we needed about 1,000 officers. We're in the mid-800s right now. Based on a recent study conducted, we decided that we were going to try to increase that in a very robust way. Chief Eden and his team have done a great job, as I said. They have 39 new officers in the first weeks of a new, in a cadet class now, and they will graduate in the first weeks of your next mayor's term. We've also filled the next academy class after that should produce another 40 officers, and then by the end of this year, we will have screened and filled the subsequent class. So when our next mayor walks into office, we think we will have queued up officers either in the academy, starting the academy, or waiting to get into the next academy that will take them to about 925. So we have different candidates talking about different numbers, but at least we'll get them closer to the 1,000 that we need. But in the meantime, you'll see us around town doing some new recruiting measures, emphasizing the benefits and compensation for our officers. When we talk to people around town, we often find a misconception on what police officers make. When you ask people what does a police officer make, sometimes they'll say, well, the same as a teacher, mid-30s or so. Well, the fact is, when I took office, our starting officers were making about $48,000 a year. We've bumped that by $10,000. Our starting officers now make $58,000 a year. And then if you add the pensions and the benefits and the health insurance and all the things that go with that, the take-home cars, that's an earnings of about $88,000 a year for a starting police officer. So we want that to be more well-known. Please help us spread the word on that. And if you know young people in our community that want to take on a career in law enforcement, we would love to have them. Please send them our way. But as we're adding officers, we're also coming up with innovative solutions to combat crime. Officer shortages continue to be an issue around the state. And I talk to mayors, I bring them in once a year, mayors from all over New Mexico, and we're all facing officer shortages. Other states are facing them as well. And one of the things that we're going to continue to try to do, and please help your next mayor, try to get that return to work back. We used to be able to hire return to work officers, people that had retired after 20 years in service, maybe they were in their early 40s. We used to be able to put them back on the front lines. We used to be able to put them back in your schools, chase auto burglars and other things. Since that went away in 2010, it was then Governor Richardson and the legislature that did away with it. We've had 345 police officers retire from APD, walk out the door without ever chance to come back. And so what are they doing? These are young, energetic people, a lot of them. They want to continue in law enforcement. So they're taking your New Mexico taxpayer-funded pension and they're going elsewhere and they're being hired in those police departments. We've been up there 5 years in a row fighting for this. And I hope our next mayor can get it. I do want to thank Larry Larrañaga, Representative, Mr. Chairman, has fought that fight with me in the legislature for many years. That would be a big difference and it would go a long ways to helping us with our officer shortage in Albuquerque, and it would also help the small towns in New Mexico get those chiefs because they can't hire APD lieutenants and others who retire to be their chiefs of police in small towns either. So we're going to keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. But before I leave public safety, let me just say this. I want to say thank you to the men and women of the Albuquerque Police Department. They risk their lives every day to keep our community safe. And ladies and gentlemen, they're doing great work. They've undergone They have undergone an incredible amount of change over the past years, and they've responded with nothing but professionalism. We've raised our standards, and they've met those standards every time. If you remember, even before the DOJ settlement agreement, we instituted almost 60 reforms at APD. We were the first large department in the country to use body cameras. We're the first department in the country to train our officers on CIT training. We've rewritten 37 major policies within the department, and we provided training to our officers on those new policies. And as a result, those diligence of our officers, their professionalism, we've reduced officer-involved shootings and our use of force complaints at APD. In fact, APD officers have not fired a single shot during an APD SWAT standoff in Albuquerque since 2014. So they're doing great work. And there's no question that while the department is smaller for a number of reasons, that we are going to leave the department better trained. But there's no question that the quality and the dedication of the men and women at APD has not wavered 1 inch. They're awesome, they're outstanding, and I want to thank them. I want to thank Chief Eden, Bob Huntsman, their entire team for never losing faith in their department or their officers. And I want to thank my city attorney, Jessica Hernandez, who has led the charge on the DOJ reforms with the Department of Justice. If you can look at this next chart, APD is now about 3/4 of the way complete with a settlement agreement as we hand it off to the next administration. We even had a gentleman named Luis Salcedo, who I think the world of, who's with the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, remark in the paper that we are making remarkable progress. And with our current progress and continued effort, I'm confident that the next administration will be able to exit the settlement agreement close to the original time frame that we negotiated with the DOJ. So please, one more time, to the men and women, our leadership at APD, the entire effort they're putting in every day, God bless each one of you, and thank you so much. Let's not forget our firefighters. Gil's here, our new fire chief, Gil Sanestevan. Thank you so much to you and all your personnel. They're out there saving lives, they're fighting fires, they're helping our homeless population every day. They're doing demanding jobs, but they're also doing it with big hearts. And we've tried to make significant investments in our fire department, and they've done great things, and they deserve a round of applause too. So all the men and women at the fire department, thank you. So as I leave office, I do have great faith in the men and women who keep us safe in our community, but I'm also thankful that I'm a mayor of a community who cares about people in need. And you heard from two stellar people, Kim today and Aaron, talking about their journeys and how we have helped them. Our groundbreaking initiative, Heading Home, has really done a fantastic job. I want to thank everybody that's been involved in that. By the way, Kim's son, Miguel, was the 700th person in Albuquerque that we've been able to house through Albuquerque Heading Home. We've also done it in a way that saves you money. We knew that if we did the right thing, it would be the smart way to do the right thing. And based on studies from the university, we can tell you that by housing the chronically homeless, the medically vulnerable, we can save you as taxpayers 31% over the cost of leaving someone to struggle for survival on the streets. And in fact, to this point, we've saved over $5 million through that effort. So I want to thank you as a community for letting us take a different approach on that. We're also taking an innovative approach to combat panhandling in Albuquerque, because what you'll see on the screen is a Supreme Court decision that came out of Gilbert, Arizona in 2015. And what that basically did is Reed versus the town of Gilbert. For all intents and purposes, it ended prohibitions on panhandling across the country. We've all seen panhandlers on the side of the road. I saw this gentleman in 2015. He has a sign, he says he wants a job. I went back, I talked to Gilbert and my staff, and I said, we're going to give him a job. We got an old Dodge van, and we started There's a Better Way program. We offer panhandlers $9 an hour to do day work, the dignity of work, helping clean our city, and an opportunity, most importantly, to connect with services providers at St. Martin's Hope Works at the end of the day in an effort to get them off the corner. So this program, I don't think we should be surprised, will not end panhandling here completely, or in Chicago, or Dallas, or Seattle, or one of the other 40 cities that have adopted this. But it's a great start. And I can tell you your return on that investment so far has been 3,500 day jobs for people. We've removed over 175,000 pounds of weed, trash, and litter. We've connected 368 people to permanent employment opportunities. We've cleaned almost 600 city blocks. We've moved 21 people into Albuquerque Heading Home. And we've engaged 202 clients with mental health and substance abuse services. So through Heading Home, There's a Better Way, our faith community, all the great work that you're doing in our community, a study was just released that showed that we've been able, in my time as mayor, to reduce unsheltered homelessness by almost 80%, chronic homelessness by 40%, and one of the best things that I think we've done, by HUD's definition, we've been able to end veterans' homelessness in the city of Albuquerque. Thank you. So that's real progress, and that's real partners, St. Martin's Hope Works, Doug Chaplin, everybody at the Department of Family and Community Services, Albuquerque Heading Home, the VA, thanks to the folks at the VA, Family and Community, as I said, the Rock at Noonday, Steel Bridge, United Way of Central New Mexico, and Monsignor Voorhees is here. The faith community, Monsignor, has been tremendous. So thank you so much for stepping up in a big way and making a difference in people's lives. And we heard about Aaron with Running Start for Careers. As you know, we don't run the school system as a mayor in the city of Albuquerque. Some cities do. But we've tried hard to help with educational attainment for our kids. We started Launch to Learn this summer. We had 20,000 students getting their hair cut, reading books, getting new clothes, new shoes, getting their vaccinations, getting some dental work done. to make sure that they go back to school ready to lead and learn and to stop that summer slide. 40 plus partners in the city are helping us do that. Homework Diner, Peggy Candelaria started that project when I was the chairman of ABC Community Schools. Jose Munoz and his group took that to new heights. We now have multiple schools where kids can go get some dinner, take their family, do their homework. Running Start for Careers, as Robin said, 1,000, I thought it was 1,000, it's 1,200 kids now have gone through. 98% on-time graduation rate by you, the industry, teaching them life skills and work skills. So we're being recognized around the country, and that's a good thing because we're being recognized for the right things. And I do want to thank Aaron and all the young people that have gone through that project and that program as well. So let's switch really quickly to quality of life and infrastructure. A couple of years ago, you saw me hold up that book. It said ABQ, the plan. It had a bunch of bold projects and quality of life initiatives that if we could get done, we felt would make our city more attractive for all residents, visitors, and as importantly, people that want to invest. And I'm proud to say that by the time we leave office, we'll be substantially complete with all of the projects in ABQ, the plan, that are city-driven projects. They include the Paseo and I-25 interchange. That's without the landscaping. You had to throw the Cabela's in. Just had to do it. A renovated and revitalized convention center, a new world-class baseball complex on the west side. When that thing opens, you're going to be thrilled. Numerous projects in our downtown, our innovation district, Innovate ABQ, our new downtown grocery store, revitalized rail yards. That was one of Gilbert's projects, including one of the most popular event spaces in our city. We're going to be wrapping up our 50-mile activity loop around the city through much work and many, many community meetings. We've been able to improve your experience in the Bosque so that you can go down now and ride. If you haven't been on that Bosque trail, man, go check it out. It's one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen. And of course, we've done a lot of improvements to Route 66, including new street lighting and our soon-to-be completed, yes, our soon-to-be completed, best-in-class bus rapid transit line ART. We're about 80% finished with ART right now, and we're actually ahead of schedule. We're still calling it January, but the way Cynthia and her teams are working, I think we're going to be a little bit ahead of that, if not more than a little bit ahead of that. And soon we're going to be able to see 20,000 students at UNM be able to kind of get unlandlocked from the campus, get on ART, get down for lunch, see the city, go up to Nob Hill, have a beer, get back to class, do whatever they want to do. Had to throw beer in there. But we can take our friends and our family to our great neighborhoods to enjoy our downtown, to the Biopark, Old Town, and Nob Hill. And one of the things that really isn't talked much about with ART that we really thought a lot about was how it will help us fight poverty. If you're a working family, and many of our main employers are along Central, Presbyterian Health Sciences Center, the university, the downtown area. If you're a working family and you have to have 2 cars to get to work, if you can shed one of those cars, that's like getting a $9,000 raise next year. So it's going to be the first all-electric in America, a bus rapid transit. It will be ranked as one of the very best in the United States, one of the best in the world, and it's going to put us on the forefront, and it's been hard. And I want to say thank you to all the businesses and everybody along Central Avenue who have been able to weather the storm with us and put up with the disruption. Cynthia and her team, the FTA people told us a while back, they've really reinvented how to do one of these projects, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been tough. And now we've had $337 million worth of permits pulled inside the transit corridor along ART, which goes about a 5/8 of a mile on each direction. That's how we study the project. I want to thank our congressional delegation who's been there with us, a number of the business organizations, NAOP, Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce, Hispano Chamber have been there with us, even when the going has gotten tough. And I once again want to thank our city councilors who have been there when things got tough. I think it's the right thing to do. I think we're going to look back in the years to come and really understand that this was worth the effort. And they've taken a lot of heat for it, and they took it because it's something that we wanted to do. So, councilors, thank you so much. But we've worked hard to really leave our built environment better than we found it. The flyer you have on your chair today, really highlights about $1.2 billion worth of projects that we've done in Albuquerque in the last 8 years. And we've done it without raising your taxes. We've done it by being smart. We made an intentional effort not to grow government, but to put that money and plow it back into our community. I personally believe we need about $250 million every cycle to keep our city on the right track, and that had been cut in half We did some crafty things to get those dollars out of city government and put in there so that we can build Paseo, that we can do other things in our community. Once again, great partnership from our city council. And the most fun thing is we're going to be able to leave the next mayor with some ribbons to cut. I mean, I can't tell you how happy I am with that. So soon after the next mayor takes office, they're going to go down and cut the ribbon on the new penguin exhibit at the zoo, which I think is going to be one of the #1 tourist attractions in New Mexico, inside the already #1 tourist attractions in New Mexico. They're going to be able to flip the lights on this citywide lighting project. You watch how our city looks different after that lighting project is completed. We just started the ACE project, was an 80-acre industrial park right at the end of the runway at the Sunport. That, along with the, I always get the name wrong, but the UEL project from the Air Force, will allow private companies, I think you're going to see hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs out there over the next couple of years. And then tonight, when you flip on the news, you're going to see something interesting. You're going to see our Skyline competition. In a stroke of political genius, I decided to have my speech 1 hour before we made that announcement on those Skylines projects. But you're going to see, I think, 3. I'm not on the ad hoc committee. You don't want me on the ad hoc committee. We're going to see some of the proposals that were put into the city of Albuquerque that have been selected for the finals of that competition. So I can tell you, I believe in a couple of years, we're going to have a new Skyline in the city of Albuquerque. But you know, it's not just bricks and mortar. We've really tried to work hard to be good environmental stewards in the city of Albuquerque. We've done about 100 projects. That's about 5 times more projects than any previous administration for energy efficiency and stewardship. And through those projects and those initiatives, by the time they're completed with their lifespan, we will have taken about 720,000 tons of carbon emission out at the city of Albuquerque. That's just about the same as taking 76,000 homes off the grid for a year, or 152,000 cars off the road for a year. And we're saving you millions on your light bill doing it. So as we talk as mayors around the country, there's folks that will sign pledges and things, and that's great, but we've really done the hard work in Albuquerque to be good environmental stewards. And as I wrap up, I want to talk about our kids a little bit. Because no matter how good the city looks, it's our people that make it special. Albuquerque's full of talented, energetic, and compassionate people. And a perfect example is our kindness campaign. Has anybody downloaded the kindness app yet? I see a few hands. Download the kindness app. I asked the youth of Albuquerque a couple of years ago, actually a year ago, to lead the way to teach us adults to be kind. I told them we're going to set an audacious goal over the next 3 years. We're going to do 1 million acts of kindness. And I can tell you today that after just 1 year, we've already logged 450,000 individual acts of kindness in the city of Albuquerque. I want to read you a letter that I just received from the students at Tony Hillerman Middle School. And it reads as follows: Dear Mayor Barry, we are students at Tony Hillerman Middle School, and we have taken your kindness challenge. We call ourselves the Thankful Thunder. Every Thursday, we worked on acts of kindness. Currently, we have written over 1,600 thank you cards, and our goal is 15,000 acts of kindness. More kindness will make the world a better place. So if you've ever wondered or needed a reminder that our future is bright in the city of Albuquerque, I would invite you to make a copy of that letter and tape it to your refrigerator. And I've invited the Thankful Thunder to be with us today. To be my guests, they are sitting with my youth council. Where is the Thankful Thunder? There they are. I've got to meet so many great people as mayor, but no one better than our kids, man. They're unbelievable. So as I wrap up here today on my final State of the City, we have 2 months left. I want you to know we're going to sprint to the finish line. As Rob likes to say, there's not an inch of quit in any of us. We're going to make the most positive impact that we can with every moment that we have. But we're also allowing ourselves to take a couple of minutes here and there to reflect on the past 8 years, to find amusement in some of the things, frankly, that you just can't make up, to reflect on the good times and the difficult times that we've been through as a community, and to celebrate our community spirit, to shed a tear for those that we've lost, especially the kids and our police officers, and to think about the lessons that we've learned and how to pass them on, to cherish the friends we've made and to be thankful for our colleagues and our partners. I've cherished every day, and my family and my team at the city have as well. We've seen some tough days, we've seen some inspiring days, and most days ended after midnight. When I ran to be your mayor 8 years ago, I did it because I love our city. And I can tell you without reservation, after 8 years, I adore this city even more than the day we started. It's been a great blessing, as Maria said, for us and our family, and I want to say thank you for letting us serve you and your families. When I ran the first time, I chose to term limit myself. There is no term limit for mayor in Albuquerque, and I did that because we wanted to have a positive handoff for the first time in a very, very long time, and we're going to work hard to have that positive handoff. I want our city and the next mayor to have early successes, and we're eager to share with him or her the foundations that we've laid to tackle some of these big challenges. So as I close, I have a couple of favors to ask you as your soon-to-be ex-mayor. First, never forget how special Albuquerque is. We're a unique and wonderful place, and we should never, ever apologize for that. Take time to help your friends and your neighbors face their challenges, lift them up when they fall, and celebrate their successes when they've reached them. Don't ever stand for anybody that denigrates our city, especially if they're one of us. Celebrate our diversity. It really is our greatest strength. And support your next mayor when he or she tries to innovate, just as you've supported me during my time as your mayor. Give your next mayor and your city council the opportunity to try new things. Because as I look at politics in America, it's not Washington that are going to solve the problem. It's going to be cities. It's going to be cities like Albuquerque that innovate. And last, allow your mayor to make honest mistakes. And when they fail in a good intentioned effort, allow them to fail forward. Because not everything works out as planned. When I think about what the city's given Maria and I, we started with $2,000 when we got out of UNM that we borrowed from our parents. We built a successful business. We raised our family here. And then we asked the citizens of Albuquerque to let us serve. Twice in the legislature, now twice as mayor. And as we served every day, we tried to do our best. We tried to do it the right way, to take care of your tax dollars, to stay on the high ground, and to serve everyone in our community, whether they voted for us or not. And I'm grateful to my team of professionals who have done really hard work at work worth doing to try to leave our place better than we found it. So just remember, our city is strong, our people are beautiful, our economy is growing, our quality of life is improving, and I have faith in the work that's been done to overcome current challenges, and I have faith that this city can overcome any challenge that comes our way in the future. So on behalf of my family, from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for blessing us with this opportunity to serve you. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless our city. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello? Yeah, good. Mr. Mayor, it's my great honor and pleasure to give you something that comes from our organization. You were kind enough to come make your first speech here. You made your most important last speech here. And, but more importantly, you've given us something that we couldn't have otherwise had. I want to thank your parents for bringing your son here, or letting him come here, as the case may be, from Iowa. You brought some.
Nebraska.
I'm sorry, Nebraska.
Born in Iowa, raised in Nebraska.
Born in Iowa.
Don't
raised in
offend
Nebraska.
the Huskers, for goodness sake.
Sorry, Jeff, if you're here somewhere. But you brought some. He came with great values. He came with a work ethic that I don't think anybody could ever match. He came with honesty and integrity. He came at a time when some of our most esteemed politicians were being sent to prison, and some that weren't, that should have been there. Personal comment. But it's true. And when you came as a contractor. And I remember a conversation that Dale Decker and I had when you got elected, and we were musing over the fact that as a contractor, you really knew how to execute, but you needed a set of plans to execute from. And we said, well, we know he'll run the city right. We know that he'll do a good job. We know that it'll run efficiently. It'll run on time. But what's the vision? And lo and behold, you know, after you finally found out where the bathroom was on the 11th floor, you got to work on that vision, and you created a plan. You created a team, which I don't think has ever existed in this city. And you've created a legacy that I now know why there's 8 people running for mayor. It's going to have to be, it's probably the worst job in the state, but with the job that you've done, you've made it probably the easiest job to carry forward. And I hope this organization will make sure that all of the good work that you've done gets carried forward. I personally will work on that. But more importantly is that you created a vision. And you took on a couple of really hard jobs that I don't think anybody else would have had the intestinal fortitude. And one was rebuilding the longest and oldest street in the city to create a most modern transportation system that most of the people in this city don't even understand. But come 6 months from now, you're going to find out that everybody said, boy, that's going to be a great project when it's finished and it's in operation. The other thing that you took on was something that is extremely difficult, and that's to change the culture of an organization. And you and Chief Eaton were incredibly brave to invite the DOJ in and to undertake the change of culture that absolutely had to happen with APD. And as you showed on the screen, that's happening. And what that, with the legacy that you've left us and the vision that you had, the past president's organization, past president's committee of this organization, of which I'm the next to the oldest president in this organization, would like to present you with a plaque so that you can remember us and remember your time and remember the appreciation that we have for you.
That's nice. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.